Hey everyone, this is Paulina on the Finnish Path. Welcome to my series of sample readings. Now, those of you who have been following my series, you already know that I use a lot of spreads. I use mainly spreads when I do readings for my clients. And I'm just in this series, I'm showing you how I interpret different spreads. I mean how I technically do that. And today we are going to look at a quick and easy spread from my quick and easy category, a spread called Good Advice. It's a 5-card spread and it is used for generally giving good advice. It can be just a it can be just a general reading with no actual question, but it can also be about a specific area of life. For example, it can be about love life, or it can be about moving houses, or about work, or whatever. And like I said, this is a sample reading, so I'm not doing a reading for a real person here. But just to make it a bit easier for us, I came up with this scenario that we are going to pretend we have a querent who has problems at work, and they have problems with their boss, and they need advice on what to do about this boss, how to behave or whatever. So we are going to look at that. Here we are. Okay, let's draw the cards. So it was 5 cards, and the first one is the issue at hand. There we go. Okay, this is pretty graphic. Oh, actually, are we going to run out of space here? Could well be. Let's see. I will lift the cards up and show them to you anyway, so even if you can't see them properly here, you will see the individual cards eventually. Then we have position number 2, and this is your goal or where you are headed. Oi. Okay. Sorry, this one is the 10 of Swords, and number 2 is Ace of Cups, a card I always enjoy seeing. Then position number 3 is things you need to let go. And here we have 2 of Wands. Then number 4, things you should be more open to. 7 of Swords, and then the good advice here. King of Swords. Okay, this is our draw. Now, the very first thing I do is look at all the cards here on the table, looking at their numbers. Now, what I'm looking for is possible sequences like 1, 2, 3, or, sequence like that. Or perhaps reoccurring numbers, if there are like 2 fivers here, or 3 fivers, or something. That's what I'm looking at. I'm also looking at if we have major arcana cards here, or only minor arcana cards, or both, and what is the ratio of these. Now, we only have minor arcana cards, that is suit cards. This means that this issue is not a life lesson for our querent. It's important, yes, of course it is, otherwise they wouldn't be here, but it's not a life lesson as such. So we only have minor arcana cards here. And then if we look at the individual numbers here, there is 1 and 2, then there is 7 and 10, and then the king, which is 14. It's kind of mixed, this. The 2 cards that are before number 5, I'm thinking about the journey from 1 to 10, which is a whole growth journey for one person. So 1 and 2, these are in the starting end of the journey, and then 7 and 10 are at the end of the journey, if you like. But it's pretty balanced. It's 2 cards per each side. So yeah, not a lot to be read here in regards of the numbers. Okay, we've been looking at the numbers. Now we'll go forward and look at the suits we have here. The suits will indicate which area of life this particular issue is affecting. And our imaginary querent was having trouble with their boss, so we would assume we would get pentacles, but you see we have no pentacles. We have 3 swords, 1 wand and 1 cup. No pentacles. So perhaps this has got nothing to do with work as such, this problem. It is occurring at their workplace, yes, but perhaps the problem the boss has with our querent has nothing to do with their work performance. Interesting. And here we have 3 swords. So swords are dominating this spread, this draw. And swords, of course, they are about thought and intellect. They are also about challenge and conflict. But here, what comes to me from this particular draw is the intellectual part, the thought part, using your head above hearts, if you like. So it seems to me that our querent is having an intellectual type problem with the boss, or perhaps the other way around. The boss has this intellectual problem with our querent. Okay. Then we start going over each individual card in relation to its position. And we start, of course, with number 1. And the position here was the issue at hand. And this, of course, this position reveals the heart of the matter. This card, the card in this position, tells us why this querent has come to us in the first place. Now, when we look at the card in this position, we can look at the number of the card, and the bigger the number, the bigger the issue is for the querent. And here we have number 10. It could not really be a bigger issue, unless, of course, this was a major arcana card, when we would be talking about a life lesson type issue. But this is number 10. And like I noticed before, this card should have been Pentacles, because this is work related, but it's not. It's a sword card, Thoughts. So looking at this particular card, 10 of Swords, the issue at hand, with number 10 being success and completion and moving on, and then the suit being about thoughts. Could it be, in fact, that someone wants to leave, someone feels that it's all done and dusted, and could it be that our querent is thinking about quitting their job because of this boss they have? Oh, might be. Then we go to position number 2, which is here. And this position is your goal and or where you are headed right now. And the position will show us the hopes and dreams of our querent, or it can also show the destination, that is where the querent is headed right now. What is their path right now, unless they decide to change something. Now, Ace of Cups. Well, Cups is emotion and love and empathy. And Ace, that's the base of the suit. It's the starting point for the journey from 1 to 10. And Aces also mean new beginnings and new opportunities. Now, this is getting interesting. If the querent really is contemplating leaving their job, then this is showing that they would hope for a new beginning. And this is an emotional issue for them. This was rational, thinking about leaving their job. But finding a new job, finding new beginning, new opportunity, that's an emotional issue for them. Right. Then position number 3, which is the things you need to let go. And here we have 2 of Wands. Wands is action and passion and adventure and creativity, things like that. The element is fire. This is a fiery card. And number 2 is union and balance. It is also choice and decision. Okay, we are very slowly developing a pattern here about change and things like that. But thinking about the position for a moment, this position will tell us the things that are standing in our querent's way, that are stopping them from going where they want to and doing what they want to. This position shows us perhaps the hurdles the querent needs to overtake. And also an interesting thing is that if there is a court card here, like we have here in the middle, if this card was a court card, then it could be that what is standing in the querent's way is either their own personality, some personality trait, or it could also mean that there is an actual other person that is blocking them, stopping them from moving on one way or another. But we got 2 of Wands. No, then there is a person there in the picture, a person who is pining, looking out, and yes, he's looking out at the sea. He's pining, he's looking out, he's got the world in his hand, the globe. And he looks like someone who's itching to move, go forward. This person is trying to make a decision. And thinking about the position, things you need to let go is, I would say, for our non-existent querent, they need to let go of indecision. They need to just kind of up and decide what they want. Yeah. Then position number 4, which is things you should be more open to. Our cards are going in a really weird positions here, but this position, what we should open up for, what the querent should be more open to. This is something that could help the querent, and this might also show us if the querent themselves are blocking their progress. And we got the 7 of swords here. Swords, like I said before, is about thought and intellect, also challenge and conflict. And number 7 is, it's kind of spiritual number. It's about learning something about yourself. Well, isn't that apt, actually? Learning about yourself in position what you should be more open to. Oh, these cards are so funny sometimes. Quite obvious. Okay, if we look at the person, the picture here on the card, there's this person who is creeping around, quite apparently stealing swords and being really sneaky. But if you look at the number of swords, there are 7 of swords altogether, but he's only taking 5. Because he couldn't carry all 7. If he tried, he would drop them all and make a lot of noise, and then the people in the campment back there, in the camp, military camp, they would wake up and they would catch him, and that would be it. So stealth is needed. Also, moderation. He knows that he only actually needs 5 swords, so he's willing to leave 2 behind. And thinking about this position here, what the querent should be more open to is perhaps that they don't necessarily need everything they have now. Perhaps they should think about moderation. Perhaps they should think about what is actually important in their lives. What do they really need to take with them if they do move on, like it's being said all over the place here on the spread. So they should be more open to leaving some things behind, unnecessary things behind. Right, and then the 5th card. This is the actual good advice. And we have the King of Swords. This is, there you go. This card is what the querent will leave with. When they leave this reading, this is the thing they will and should remember. So we have to be really clear about this card. We have to make sure that the querent understands what this card means. What is the good advice that is being given them? And that they will remember this good advice at a later date. And, well, King Swords, he's the ultimate CEO of anything at all. He's the business manager and CEO and director and all that. Swords, like I said, are about thought and intellect. And King is about success and power. Also about social responsibility, by the way. The kings are responsible for all the other numbers in the suit. And what is the good advice for our non-existent querent? Well, be the CEO of your own life. Take charge. Sit down and think, use your head, and make a decision. But you're the boss. You have to be the boss of you and of your life. Okay, pretty clear. And the next thing I do, I start comparing cards to each other, reading 2 cards at once, and seeing if there are any patterns forming or anything like that. And the first pairing, quite obviously, is positions 1 and 2. These 2 cards. No, this is not good. Let's see if I can. Yeah, this is good. Hope you can see this properly. Position 1, which was the issue at hand, and position 2, the goal. This is what the querent would want for themselves. This is what they hope, wish for. And this is the actual issue. Now there is quite a number 10 going on here and number 1 in the hopes and dreams. So there is striking difference between these two. On the other hand, number 2 doesn't only mean the last number, as in the end, and the end. It actually also means a beginning. Something begins again. The start of a new journey, new cycle. And this is new beginnings, new opportunities. So, even though it looks strikingly different, it's actually not. Both these cards are talking about new beginnings. This card, the issue at hand, is very painful, as you can see. A person who has these swords in their back. But the swords are now there. Now they can be pulled out. And now this person can start healing. So there is a way forward. And this is about thought. An intellectual process. Yeah. Whereas this one is about emotions. Okay. Well, perhaps they need to make up their mind, and then they will start a new emotional journey. There you are. But there was beginnings in both of these cards. That's the thing. And then another pairing is obviously number 3 and 4. Struggling to hold the cards so that you can see them properly. Here we got 2 of Wands, 7 of Swords. And these positions were things you need to let go and things you should be more open to. Oh, yeah. This card is about pining for something else, trying to make a decision. This card shows that this dude already has made a decision to leave the 2 swords here behind. So, yeah, pretty obvious there as well. And then thinking about the 5th card, good advice, we compare this, see if this goes with any other card, if it kind of amplifies any other card here. And of course it does. Being swords, it does amplify number 1 and number 4, being swords. But, and of course these 3 form kind of basis for the whole draw, making this an intellectual process rather than actually work related. Yeah. Well, it seems to me that the good advice we are gonna need to give to our poor querent who has a troublesome boss is that it is not their work performance the boss has a problem with, but it is something to do with the way they think about our querent, and that our querent needs to take matters into their own hand, and they really need to sit down and think how they can move on, because there are new beginnings here all over the place. all these cards are kind of, a beginning of something. So they need to instigate this new beginning themselves. And they need to use their head to do that. Okay, so this is the way I read this particular spread. And of course, when I am reading this spread for an actual person, all these cards open up in a very different way. Right now, since I don't have a person to read to, this is just kind of theory. But this is the technique I use to interpret this particular spread. And if you would like to follow this series of mine, then the next one is going to be next week. That's Wednesday the 13th of June, and it's going to be a bigger spread. It's going to be 9 cards, and it's going to be about reaching your passion. And if you would like to be notified when I post that sample reading, then you can subscribe to my blog. You can enter your email address in there, and then you will be notified. Or, of course, if you prefer watching videos to reading, then you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel, and there will be a little logo at the end of this video. It will appear here on the lower right hand side corner of your screen. And if you click that, then you can very easily subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, like I said, this is reading I do for my clients. And if you feel you are in need of good advice, then you can find this reading in my web shop. And the name of the spread there is the same. It's Good Advice. So you can order it from there if you like. But now, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you a week from now. Okay? Hey, hey!